At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Kicking off hour 2 here on Money Moves and a busy day in the playoffs. We've got 4 games in the NBA, 4 in the National Hockey League, a full 15-game slate in Major League Baseball, which we'll get into here in a few minutes, as well as later on in the hour when VSiN's own Adam Burke joins the program. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, channel 158. And you left us on a cliffhanger at the end of last segment saying you read the dumbest thing you have ever seen. So please elaborate.
And I did read the article as well, so don't worry. It was a very short one at that. Headline, tweet, whatever you want to call it. The Shedeur Sanders prank call points to a bigger problem for the NFL. If a 21-year-old can easily get phone numbers from his dad's iPad, how hard can it be to get inside information to use for gambling? Mike Florio poses as the question. Of course
it's Mike Florio. Of course it's Mike Florio.
As he puts in his piece, inside information, the Ulbrich situation reminds us that 1, inside for information exists. 2, it can be easily obtained. 3, it can be used for gambling. And would it shock anyone if a 21-year-old would be trying to finagle inside information that him and his buddies could use to get an edge on their betting apps? Okay, so I think this ignores a couple of things. First off, how much is the 21-year-old really putting down on the game?
Facts.
We've also had an instance in which a person had inside information. If we all remember what happened with the Alabama baseball betting case, the moron got caught immediately because he was flaunting the fact that he had inside information, and an irregular betting pattern was found, it was caught, and everything was handled. There are systems in place to handle these sort of things. I think it completely ignores and is a ridiculous pearl clutching when you're talking about the potential 21-year-old in this scenario, which, by the way, getting a phone number off of an iPad is completely different than what you're talking about. Also, I'm going to guess that prior instances have happened in which a staffer's child maybe knows about somebody getting hurt. Maybe not. We don't know. But that this would be impactful enough to write about. But the other premise that I love is bringing up something like this with no way, shape, or form of how to address it or any sort of instance in which you should actually try to talk about it. But it completely ignores the point, which is this would not be impactful in any way, shape, or form, and you're just trying to do what you usually do, which is vilify sports betting because you don't like it.
Well, so that's the thing. It's all a reach. And what blows my mind about Florio specifically is that every opportunity that he has, even if it's just made up in his brain, which this clearly is, he takes every opportunity that he can to slight sports betting. He has this vendetta and this narrative that is anti-sports betting, and he doesn't like that the NFL has relationships with sports books, and any opportunity he has to say, oh man, gambling is the problem, not people being the problem, is fascinating to me. And in this instance in particular, because we're going down the Shedeur Sanders prank call route, these kids were so dumb that they posted the video of them doing it. Right. You think they're sneaky enough now to be getting on iPads for insider information so that they can make bets? A reach, to say the least, which is a classic Mike Florio take.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
All right. Which just is a...
I love it. I mean, here's the thing. Like, we've seen this now a couple of times. I still think one of my favorite things because the sports gambling space is still very tight for the most part. It's not as big. You know, I'll steal Gil's phrase one more time. We are so close to the sun, so we assume it to be bigger than it really is. And so the education around it is not as vast. And you get people like this who, for lack of a better term, are afraid of it, whatever it is. And so they have misconceptions about it. I also just think because it is a vice, it is going to be viewed differently. Still, one of the favorite things I ever read was when Jonte Porter got caught.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote for, I think it was CNBC, like the close of their piece on it was, Jonte Porter was thrust into a world that he wasn't ready for. When it comes to this, sports betting is this massive monster that just gets your tentacles on you and never lets go. When in reality, it's, adults making decisions about how they want to spend their income. And I think it's just viewed differently because it's just the brand new vice and people are a little scared of it, just like Florio and others are.
I am also of the mentality that in any line of work and in any walk of life, there are going to be bad eggs who break the rules and do stupid stuff. But I think more often than not, that's the exception versus the rule of what normal people do and how normal people react to a certain situation. And when it comes to sports betting, just big picture in general and all of the hatred toward the leagues having relationships with sports books, why do we even know about any of these instances? How have they been publicized? How do reporters have this information? Oh, it's because the sports books have reported it. So I don't know. I think that it's a ridiculous thing. And to your point, we are very close to it and we're passionate about it and we love it. But it's a weird argument consistently about this being an issue when more often than not, the sports books are the ones that are reporting this and making it aware and putting a stop to it.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the arguments against the industry overall just kind of miss the mark on what you're looking at. Especially, I mean, it opens a bigger can of worms. Like there are federal regulation acts out there that have been proposed about this that I think are kind of inaccurate in terms of what it's trying to address. Advertising, things like that, because it's just the big scary thing as opposed to actually maybe going after other things, but that could take up a whole entire show. But Florio, good job. You got us to click on the article and read it.
Yes, the clickbait is working. It's alive and well in you. That said, we do have a lot of action that we can bet today. No inside information, sadly, though, for us on anybody's iPads in Major League Baseball. I haven't gotten any yet. Fingers crossed, Dad, you chose the wrong career path. But let's go down the slate today because there are a lot of games I know we have interest in. One we touched on a little bit in hour one, but I know I personally have a bet on, and you have some interesting angles here. Cubs and Pirates. You've got Shota Imanaga going on one side, Andrew Heaney on the other. The Cubs continue to get bet here as a money line favorite. Your thoughts? Yeah,
so we focused on the Heen dog at first, and you brought up a great point because Andrew Heaney's numbers are great, but he has also faced some lesser competition, among them maybe the Angels. But the other side of the coin here is Shota Imanaga, which I think is pretty interesting. 3.18 ERA for Imanaga so far through the early going of the season, but a 5.21 fielding independent, which would indicate that maybe he is due for a rear-end kicking at some point. You look at some of the numbers, too. Average in terms of whiff rate, he's in the 56th percentile. He's got a really good ability to get guys to chase pitches out of the zone, but he's not really striking guys out. He's average in terms of command. And what really, I think, stands out to you is his contact numbers aren't great. Barrel rate for him against is in the 23rd percentile, 11.1%. Hard hit rate is right about average at 53rd. So when you look at it from the perspective of Imanaga, I'm very interested to see if he is going to continue to pitch at this level, despite some, I think, troubling aspects of his statistical profile. And then you also factor in Heaney when you look at the way that he has pitched early on. Say what you want about the lineups he has faced. He has thoroughly dominated those bad lineups. So it's not like he's getting away with anything. So I'm just curious from a price standpoint and from where Imanaga is, if maybe we're a little too far out. It's not anything I felt too strongly about, but this does stick out as a really interesting pitching matchup nonetheless.
So maybe I am more passionate because I do have money already invested, and I did bet the Cubs this morning. But looking further on Shota here also, I look at the level of competition he has had, allowed 5 hits or less in 4 of his 6 starts this season, and the 2 rough games were against the Dodgers and the Rangers. Rangers ranked 3rd in barrel rate against lefties this season. Meanwhile, the Pirates, I talked about how the Cubs and Pirates offenses are on different planets right now. You've got Chicago that is top 5 in just about everything and averaging more runs per game than any other team in Major League Baseball versus a Pirates lineup that is massively struggling and is particularly bad against left-handed pitchers, hitting just 218 on the season, bottom half of the league in terms of contact percentage. So a lot of things were just showing up Cubs for me specifically.
Sure. No, and I think that's why I even put in my notes. I'm like, let's see. I feel like he should be getting hit harder. Is the Pirates lineup the lineup to do it? I think so maybe you go against him at a different point. I think regardless, the pitching matchup looks absolutely fun on paper, and I can't wait to see what it provides. But that is always the question is, maybe the regression is coming for Imanaga. I mean, he did get blasted by the Dodgers in the last time out against a much better lineup, and maybe those are the times that you want to try to take your shots against him. I think it's interesting, too, and this is what I want to ask Adam when he comes on and joins us here in 30 minutes, is there's some interesting numbers for the Pirates lineup. There's some bad ones, right? But there's also some interesting ones. So 27th in weighted runs created plus, so they're a bad offense in general. but they're a top 10 team in terms of hard hit rate. They're a top half of the league in terms of barrel rate as a lineup as a whole, and they're 20th in batting average on balls in play. Those last three indicators would tell me that maybe they're getting a little unlucky as a lineup. So I do wonder how you balance those, because in totality, it has not equated to anything good for Pittsburgh.
Okay, speaking of interesting pitching matchups, I think we've got a good one in Nationals-Phillies, the top two strikeout pitchers in Major League Baseball right now. Phillies and Zach Wheeler, minus 192 home favorites. Mackenzie Gore on the hill for the Nationals, plus 160. The run total in this one, 8.5.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore, a man that when it came into this year, looking back at last year, thought, all right, cool. I think this guy is due for some really good stuff. 3.90 ERA, 3.53 FIP, over 166 and a third. And he's really maintained that. And actually coming in, you can make the argument that today he is due for better stuff, despite the fact that his early goings have been really good. Over 35 innings, 201 fielding independent, 221 expected. He has been pitching extremely well. And now you get to oppose the Phillies. I think maybe you go with a under potentially. First 5 under, you can make the argument. Wheeler's numbers are a little inflated, but he has deserved a little bit better when you look at his profile overall. It's not something I felt entirely strongly about, but I do think there's a case to be made that Gore comes in, continues to pitch at this level, finds some of the stuff that he's been looking for, especially a little unlucky on balls in play at 368. That manifests itself when you get a low-scoring first 5 frames.
First 5 under 4.5. Is that a reasonable enough number for you?
What's the juice, like minus 115?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be a fair ask between these two for sure.
Okay. Anything else that you liked on MLB Slate last 60 seconds?
Let's see. I think there was a lot of games that really stuck out. I think one of the ones that is going to be a ton of fun, I think that Bowden Francis for the Toronto Blue Jays should ultimately pay for his transgressions, and at some point it should manifest. As I put in my notes, can this loser keep getting away with his BS? Bowden Francis, a 3.58 ERA, but a fielding independent way over 5. If you look at some of his numbers, Stormy, I mean, it's abysmal. Chase rate, 14th percentile. Whiff rate, 21st percentile. He's striking out just 19.5% of the batters he has faced. Hard contact rate, 24th percentile. Barrel rate, like the guy's giving up a ton of hard contact. He's not getting guys to strike out, and yet here he is performing relatively well. And then you get this guy, this lineup in Boston, who has been very, very good. Barrel rate, hard hit rate, everything like that. Feel like the Red Sox could be a team to finally make him pay, and they are heavy favorites for a reason.
Okay, and we'll talk more baseball when Adam Burke joins the program, as you referenced. We'll also have some best bets in MLB at the end of the show. But quick reminder, guys, whether you're placing your first bet or you have been playing the ponies for years, VSiN's Kentucky Derby betting guide has everything you need to get ahead come Derby Day. It'll be here before you know it. We've got a breakdown of how to bet horse racing, great for beginners, detailed previews of the Derby and Kentucky Oaks, and so much more. The guide drops April 30th. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get the guide and everything we have here.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, getting into a little NHL talk here back on Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network, alongside Jonathan Von Tobel, Stormy Buonantony with you. 4 games in action tonight. I mean, just a really good night in general in sports, having all of the NBA, all of the NHL, full slate of Major League Baseball. You have that smirk on your face like I'm being a sarcastic jerk, and I'm being dead serious. Last night in the NHL, we were both on the Avs. That was a tough loss.
I blame you.
That started right away. Why do you blame me?
I don't know. I'm a man that makes his own decisions, but I still blame you.
It was in doubt all of 9 seconds in. You can't predict somebody to win an opening faceoff and then go down the ice and score right away to put you behind the 8 ball, and then you get a fluky goal at the end of the first 2, which makes it 2-0. Dallas goes up 3-0 early, and even when Colorado clawed back and made it 3-2 midway through the second period, Dallas just pulled away again, and so it was one of those games, which now, by the way, they're a big favorite going up in the
Did you like the meme I sent you yesterday?
Which one?
The one with the guy.
I feel like you were always you sent a lot of tweets yesterday. It's hard for me to keep track.
Well, I'm trying to be, okay, unlike some people, I'm trying to engage in the show and send content so we can always be a good group, build symbiotic friendships and whatnot, be on the same wavelength. The one where I was making fun of you, and it was 3-0 with like 18 minutes left to go in the second.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, I did like it.
A little anime guy. Like, is this the greatest sport of all time?
Oh, I forgot. That wasn't a tweet. You sent that to me.
Yeah, I sent you a meme.
You sent that to me
I made that
text.
myself.
Really? I didn't know that you had that skill set. But there you go. But it was a disappointing loss for Colorado, for both of us. It was also, I didn't bet the Lightning and under, but that was my lean yesterday, and that looked like that's how it was going to play out until about 3:47 left in that game, where obviously that flipped on its head. So let's see if we can get some more positivity coming into today. The biggest injury of note is in this Carolina Hurricanes Devils game. Freddie Anderson obviously came out last game in the second period, did not return. Goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes, he will not be playing in the game today. But I'm not particularly concerned about them. They're still minus 285 favorite to close things out on home ice today. I think they do. This has been bet out, so people not afraid to lay that money line. They're betting the 60-minute line as well. The goal total in this one, 5.5. Freddie's been awesome, and I am curious how long he's going to be unavailable for what that could mean for the Canes moving forward, who are plus 450 favorite right now to win a Stanley Cup. But for this game, I don't think it'll have any impact. Piotr played more than 40 games this season for the Carolina Hurricanes. He was very good. He knows how the team plays in front of him. I think they'll be fine.
So is this price worth laying then, in your mind? Like, would this be factored in enough? Is it a cheap price at minus 285, or then the other markets manifesting from that, like puck line, things like that?
I don't like puck line in this series because you've had to rely on so many empty netters for that to come through, which they have. So go that way if you want to. Minus 102 if you're laying the goal and a half with Carolina. That's not the way I would play it. I think, especially with the way that this money line has gotten drawn out, the way that it has, maybe just a parlay piece, if you want to do that, I think would be a smarter angle for me. This is just a game where the Devils have been outmatched, and they already entered the series injured, and they've just continued to pile up, particularly on the blue line. No Brendan Dillon, Luke Hughes, Jonathan Kovacevic, huge pieces for their defense, all out. I think they close this out. I just don't want to lay that big a number.
Okay. It looks, given what we have seen and how I evaluate these series, some of these prices that are as low as like minus 2, because there's a range of prices out there, right? There's upwards of minus 292. There's as low as minus 260. I would think that minus 260 seems like a somewhat cheap price on a Carolina team that you look at the even strength metrics. I mean, they're skating circles around them. There's not even any point in which the Jersey Devils have looked like a team that you can make a case for.
I'm not scared to bet them. I just, if you're not going to win a lot of money if you're in the business of laying 260 plus. And so I think there's just other ways that you could probably do it. Plus, I already laid a game and a half in this series anyways. So I've already got that angle to it. Did you pay attention to the Golden Knights more than any other team in the NHL? How do you feel about this game tonight? We talked about the move on them out to minus 230 and above here, hosting the Wild after winning in overtime last game to save themselves and split the series at 2.
All right, so my terminology might not be smooth here, but I will try my best. Look, I think they played the crap to begin with. There's a lot of that, not that terminology, I'm good at that. Like when I've watched them, you even look at this, the last 2 games they played in Minnesota, a lot of turnovers on their own end. I think Hill's made some odd choices with when he has decided to come out of the net and field some of these pucks behind it. A lot of just odd moments where you're like, why are you letting that happen in a team that doesn't seem to be playing with the utmost focus? But when you watch them, I think on even strength, like I thought that was a game in Game 4 which I don't think I should have had to sweat out as somebody who bet them to win the series prior. And if you look at some of the metrics for it, again, the even strength numbers, shot share overwhelmingly in their favor, expected goals for overwhelmingly in their favor. If you look at the high danger chances that they had generated, again, well in their favor throughout that contest, and yet it took 2 power play goals, if I remember correctly, and then really doing nothing outside of even strength, what they were able to do in extras, that caused them to win this. I feel like this is a series that they are playing slightly better than what the result is at this point, but I feel like a lot of what I have seen from them has been somewhat self-induced, especially on defense.
What has stressed me out about them is just the way that their best players haven't lived up to expectations. Because I think you would agree, they're the best team. They've got the better overall talent, but defensively they have had a Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy problem. And when it comes to their top guys, like the Stone and Eichel numbers are bad. Like those are their 2 best players. They have combined for 2 points and are -4 and -7 in the series. Their top D pairing of Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore have played together for years. Have not had it. Yes, woke up a little bit last game, but I mean Shea, what was it, game 2, just whiffing on everything. And so when your best players aren't playing even midway to what they're capable of, it's going to be an uphill battle. I totally agree with them being favorites today. I think they should win, and they should handle business on home ice, but will they? I don't know. So I stayed off of this game from a side perspective. What I do think is very blatantly obvious, though, is the shot disparity in this series, and you kind of referenced how the way that the waves of this game have gone for the Golden Knights. No team has allowed more shots on goal per 60 minutes in the first round of the playoffs than Minnesota.
Right.
31.93 shots on goal. So I think you can approach it maybe from that perspective, and there are ways that you can bet shots by period. You can bet shots for the game. And so I
Give me
might
that stat one more
do
time.
that type of thing. 31.93 shots on goal.
In the context and history, though? Would you say, what's the whole stat?
More in the first round of the playoffs than any other team.
Okay. Okay. In terms of this first round.
Yeah, it's not historical, but it's this first round.
But still, I mean, to the point of, you didn't like the term, I use it lovingly, hockey being stupid. Like, I'm watching them, right, over the weekend, pepper them with shots, dominate that side, and you're
the
like...
shot share's crazy.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, cool. Like, we're going to overtime. This is absolutely tremendous.
Okay, Oilers Kings will stick in the Western Conference here. LA has had a lead in the third period of all 4 games of this series, including a 3-1 lead in the third on Sunday, yet they're 2-2 in the series. Could just as easily be down 3-1-2 the way that the Oilers were coming back in game 1. So I feel like on both sides, each team has stolen a game at this point. They both held court on home ice, and now we're back in LA. The Kings laying around minus 125, so this has come down a bit. High total, 6.5. Every single game has gone over the posted total so far in this series, even though last game did not deserve to be that way. It's just what keeps happening. And I told you I would get you some of these third period numbers. Goals by period for the Oilers this series. The first period, they have 2 goals. Second period, they have 4. Third and overtime, they have 12. The Kings are the better team, but they have cost themselves in the final frame.
Okay. I mean, so the numbers I was looking at, I feel like tonight it's Oilers or nothing.
Really?
And I feel like for the series, it's Oilers or nothing. I mean, again, the context of some of these numbers I do have some trouble with. Like, you would know this better. The hockey equivalent of parking the bus when you're up by a large margin, right? Like, so
you can't do that against this team.
Right. And the team will have a higher load of a shot share if they're down and the other team is willing to play, right? A little bit more goaltender in. I think the Kings tend to do that from time to time. Having said that, like, the even strength numbers, dude, like, there is not one that I can point to that's like, there's the Kings. Like, the Oilers have really dominated this on even strength from what a lot of these look like. Expected goals for, high danger chances, everything that I like to look at here, it is pointed toward Edmonton. You and I talked about it in the overtime game. I mean, that ice was tilted, and the Kings had nothing on offense, and it just felt like, all right, we're just waiting for the Oilers to score here, and they ultimately did it.
Darcy Kemper was standing on his head, and then as soon as you knew that they got the man advantage on the power play, that it was going to be over. And I think it's fair to say, and I mentioned this earlier about the way that the Kings have lost steam at the end of games. 4 D-men last game who played over 30 minutes. Joel Edmondson, more than 36. Mikey Anderson, 34-13. Drew Doughty, nearly 33. And these aren't spring chickens either, which concerns me. That what that tells me is that Jim Hiller doesn't trust his bottom D pairing, that they're playing so little.
He's J.J. Redick-esque.
He's J.J. Redick, 100%. Leave it to the LA teams, right? So it's a risk either way, though, in my mind, because you're either giving Edmonton the advantage taking on the more talented defensemen who are tired and gassed, or the younger defensemen who aren't playing as well. So, like, one way or another, the Oilers are going to continue to have that advantage late. I would just target a third period over, or a third period. What did I say earlier? I found a third period to be the highest scoring period, plus 215. So that's an angle I think that I would approach on this one. That said, hey, if you want to get out here for the NHL playoffs,
I'm
NBA
taking advantage of this special, by the way.
As you should. Come join us here at Circa. Look at this package. You get 2-night stay, $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, your own day bed at Stadium Swim, all for just $200. And that's with the resort fees included. You know what a pain those can be.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to stay here this summer. Check it out now through September 4th at circlelasvegas.com.
Got to do it. We'll be right back on Money Moves. Adam Burke joins us coming up next. We'll dive into all things playoffs and the Major League Baseball slate.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Derby Day is almost here, so why not make your first bet your best bet with First Bet? You can wager on Churchill Downs, Belmont Park, and tracks all around the world, all from your phone. Go to firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. And enter the promo code VSiN200. That'll get you a $200 sign-up bonus. Don't miss out. Bet smarter on the Derby with firstbet.com. Speaking of which, we mentioned to you last segment, the Kentucky Derby betting guide over here at VSiN, dropping tomorrow, getting you set for the run for the Roses. Back here on Money Moves, Jonathan Von Tobel, Stormy Buonantony with you. And as we mentioned, a betting guide. Who better to welcome into the program than VSiN.com Managing Editor Adam Burke, going to join us for the next half hour. But you're in control of all of these betting guides, all the content that comes up at VSiN.com. We've got a lot going on right now at the website.
We do. Did you get my email about having to have a Derby pick in today?
I must have missed that one.
No, I didn't actually send you one.
I was going to say.
No, I didn't actually send one.
Don't make me feel bad. He loves to troll me because I'm late to the party on all these Google Docs.
I wanted to scare you because usually you're last minute when you send things in for the guys.
But I meet the deadlines,
you do.
okay? That did scare me because I did not know.
No, you do meet the deadline. No. We're going to have a Kentucky Derby betting guide out tomorrow, as you mentioned, and we're going to have picks from Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman, who are, of course, doing VSiN at the Track, our podcast, and there's going to be a live version of that show here on our broadcast channel Saturday in the lead up and, of course, through the Derby. But we're going to have picks from some of our friends over at First Bet, who you just did the promo for, Dave Tooley, Ed Sehan, who cover horses for us. I wrote up a Kentucky Oaks preview, so I got a byline in the guide too. But we're really looking forward to it. It'll be out tomorrow morning, and we just hope once we get it out that there are no scratches in the field, because that seems to be a thing with the Derby here the last few years.
Now, unlike some folks, a lot of people around this time of year will pretend that they have been following horse racing this whole time. You actually do enjoy horse racing.
I do. I haven't followed it as much here of late as I did last year. Last year I was doing, pretty much stakes races previews every weekend for VSiN.com. Right now I'm trying to figure out why I can't win at Major League Baseball, which is kind of taking precedent for me. But, but I will say this. I mean, I do enjoy horse racing. I enjoy breaking it down. It's a nice change of pace, pardon the pun, for me, where I can, watch some of the past races on YouTube, go through, look at the pedigrees, look at the jockeys and the trainers and all these kinds of things. My second major in college was history. So, I've kind of always enjoyed doing research and then writing about it. Horse racing is perfect for that for me. So I definitely enjoy it. I haven't dug into the Derby too much, but got that Oaks preview ready to go, and hopefully we can cash some tickets this weekend.
Well, even though you mentioned that you've struggled with Major League Baseball, at least you haven't struggled as much as the Rockies, because that has been brutal. And
what a segue.
The Braves today, minus 205 without a listed pitcher in Colorado. I was looking through some of just the numbers in the division. 4 of the 5 teams in the NL West are above 500. They're 69-44 on the year. The Rockies are 4-23, 24. Lost what? We're on a 7 straight streak here where the opposing team total has gone over. And comparing their start to the White Sox last year, who had the historically worst season that we have ever seen, they are trending toward being even worse than that team a year ago.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it all up. And look, I think another problem here is that they have only played 6 games so far against teams in the National League West. So the National League West is easily the best division in baseball. The other 4 teams in this division are all over 500. The Giants are off to an incredible start. The Padres are a really good team too. But they have 13 games against each one of these teams, the other 4 teams in their division. So 52 games. They've played 6 of them so far, and they're still 4-24. It's going to be a remarkably long season for them. They're 0-9 against left-handed starting pitchers. It's going to be a really long one for them. The one thing I will say, today here with German Marquez getting the start is I really hope this dude stays healthy, because he's a free agent at the end of the year, and he has a chance to actually get out of there at the trade deadline.
Dude, has he been held prisoner? He's been there for so long.
Yeah. It sure seems that way. And also, he's had some injury issues too, missed basically all of last season, but I'm hoping that this poor dude stays healthy and can get the hell out of Dodge by the trade deadline.
So, Rockies related, then let me ask you these 2 things. Their adjusted win total right now is 45.5. And this one seems, I know we have this thing of you can't lay too many prices, but I think this seems somewhat cheap. They're only minus 360 to have the worst regular season record. So, win total wise, does 45.5 seem too low? And is that cheap at minus 360 for them to have the worst record of Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I think it is cheap. I mean, obviously the White Sox are terrible once again, but the White Sox, they at least play in the American League Central. Yeah. Where, Detroit looks to be the class of that division. Cleveland's having all kinds of problems. Kansas City's not very good. Minnesota's not very good either. The White Sox are going to back their way into some wins as the season goes along. I don't know that Colorado will. And honestly, you talk about their opposing team totals going over all the time, stuff like that. They're going to have a better home record than they will on the road. It's just the way that it is, and playing on the road is very difficult. The inverse of the Coors Field effect is a really, really big problem for them. But they just don't have any pitching. They don't have an offense that's nearly good enough to compete at home, where you would think that being able to build to that ballpark for 81 games a year would help you from a lineup construction standpoint, from a player personnel standpoint. That's just not the case right now. And everybody gets a bump when they go to Denver offensively. That is a That is too short of a price
Yep.
at minus 360. At least the White Sox, they have some interesting young starters. Colorado has absolutely nothing of interest.
Adam Burke, VSiN Managing Editor here, also our VSiN MLB betting analyst, has an article up on the website right now with his best bets for the full card today, including one where you are taking the dog and fading your hometown Cleveland Guardians today. You like the Twins at a plus money price. Why?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Mother Nature allows this game to be played. There are some storms that are going to be in the area throughout the day, so we'll see how saturated the field is and if that rain's able to move out. But, I mean, look, this was a little bit higher of a number. There was actually a bit of a move on Cleveland overnight and very early this morning. And then as I was writing today's article, money came in on Minnesota, which I completely agree with. Wound up a little bit worse of a price for the article as a result. But Tanner Bybee, with the way that he's pitching right now, just simply doesn't deserve to be this size of a favorite here. Cleveland's lineup is not particularly good. Jose Ramirez seems to be going through a little bit of regression. The bottom half of the order is embarrassingly bad. So I just don't think that Cleveland deserves to be at this type of price here. It's not because I like Chris Paddock. It's not because I like the Twins. I'm really not a fan of either one of those things. I don't think the Twins are very good either. But Bybee's not getting any chases outside the zone. He's not getting a ton of swings and misses. He's given up a lot of barrels. Hard hit percentage has gone up this season as well. Just the command is not there for him, and neither is the control. The one thing that Chris Paddock has is a very, very good changeup. Bailey Ober's changeup just mystified the Guardians lineup yesterday. Changeups typically do catch this lineup off guard for whatever reason. So I think Paddock's best pitch is a pretty good matchup against Cleveland here tonight. And I think the Twins were worth it at a plus money price, again, if the weather allows this game to be played. Will
Bowden Francis finally pay for his transgressions today?
I think he will. This is a guy that 3.58 ERA, but a 6.29 expected ERA, 5.49 FIP, 27 2/3. The strikeout rate is down. The walk rate is up. The home run rate is up. A guy that, he's one of these finesse types of guys. He's not going to overpower you. So when he doesn't have good command, which is what we're dealing with right now, he is very hittable. 46.3% hard hit percentage, 12.5% barrel rate. Lefties have a 5.45 slugging percentage against him. There's a lot of reasons to like Boston here today, especially from an offensive standpoint in this matchup. I do like the first 5 over 4.5 here too. Toronto's a top 5 offense against lefties. I think they can get to Garrett Crochet a little bit, but I laid the price with the Red Sox here. I think Bowden Francis is definitely a fade guy as we go forward, and I think this is a good spot to fade him against Boston.
We'll have more MLB next segment when we get to the best bets for all three of us for the day, but I did want to ask you, as a Browns fan, how you felt about the draft and getting 2 rookie quarterbacks, including Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
Well, I will refrain from using the language I used with our old pal John Goulet when I was out with him on Friday night.
Okay.
We're on Sirius XM.
That's
fine. I really liked what Cleveland did early in the draft. I like trading down from 2 to 5. I don't think Travis Hunter would have been a great player for the Browns right now because they don't have anyone to throw him the football. And it seems like he wants to play both sides, which is fine. But I think Kevin Stefanski in the front office was kind of thinking, hey, it's very hard to get deep into the playbook at the NFL level to play both sides. So they capitalized on that, got what could be another top 10 pick with Jacksonville for the first round next year, got the 36th pick. I really like what they did in the first round. I like what they did in the second round. And then in true Cleveland Browns fashion, I left the draft with a very sour taste in my mouth. I don't know why you take Dylan Gabriel. I don't know why you take Shedeur Sanders when you've already taken Dylan Gabriel. I don't know why you took a second running back. Just mind-blowing decisions. And look, I think that there's a very realistic possibility that owner Jimmy Haslam, who is very much tied in with the University of Tennessee, went there. Sure, he's a big donor, big booster, all of that. Maybe that's why the Dylan Sampson pick came through. And then Shedeur, he's there, right? You could argue it's a good value to take him in the 5th round. But if you liked Dylan Gabriel that much to take him 2 rounds before you took Shedeur Sanders, what the hell are we doing here? Blows my mind, man. I understand that. Look, they didn't take a wide receiver. I get it. They trade for wide receivers. They trade draft picks for them. That's what they do. But
Count going.
I feel genuinely for Dylan Gabriel because he walked in there thinking, oh, wow, they picked me. I'm going to have a real opportunity. And then you go and draft Shedeur 2 rounds later.
Beat him. Come on.
Good point. We're going to take a quick time out when we come back. Best bets for the day. We've got NBA, we've got NHL, we've got Major League Baseball. We're covering it all as we round out this Tuesday edition of Money Moves next.
watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're locked and loaded as we close out this Tuesday edition of Money Moves with best bets in the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, 30 teams in action in MLB, so a lot to choose from on that card, alongside Adam Burke, who is on the desk with us, Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel. Let's get to it, guys. Best bets today presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Where do we want to start?
Asking me or asking our guest?
Dealer's choice.
Okay. Well, I can't really give out one of the bets that I have because the market has moved here quite a bit. But it's worth pointing out that circa on the total for Pistons Knicks is up to 215.5. So this thing's been rising quite a bit. If it starts to come back down, I think anything under 214 is playable at this point. But I think this is going to harken back to the game that we saw in Game 2. It was a much higher scoring affair. Went over this total. I also think that the officiating is going to be a big deal here. When you have a game end the way that it did last time out with a lot of physical play, I think that these refs are probably going to be on their P's and Q's and really wound up to call a lot of stuff. Might get you some extra free throw attempts, get you into the bonus early, but I just think this is going to be a little bit of a cleaner game as well to get this thing over. Knicks are going to be more comfortable, the higher end offensive team. So I think this is a candidate to go over. For baseball, and what we're looking at a little bit later here today, I will say, as we had discussed, I am with you on the Red Sox against Bowden Francis. It was one of the first games that I put in our rundown to discuss. I think he is a fraud, and I do think there's a lot of metrics here for a very good lineup, which I am pleasantly surprised by. I was kind of a Red Sox hater in the offseason. I was like, everybody's flavor of the month. They're hitting the ball really well. Like, the hard contact numbers for this lineup as a whole are absolutely incredible. Francis should pay here, and I think that he has a lopsided affair that works against him. So Red Sox money line or a little team total as well would be a lock in step with our guest here.
Okay. I wanted to ask you a baseball question as well, because I bet the Cubs today, and JVT loves the Heen dog, which I don't blame him. He's been really, really good the last handful of starts, but what my argument today has kind of been is the caliber of opponent that he has faced to get the numbers that he has, and the Cubs offense is significantly better. And looking at them, top 5 in runs, top 5 in stolen bases, batting average, OPS, they're averaging an MLB high 5.9 runs per game, having played the most difficult strength of schedule to this point. And while they do have, Shota on the hill on the other side, the Pirates lineup has been terrible against lefties. So I feel like a lot was coming up for me.
Not going to give that last name a stab?
Imanaga.
There we go.
But I feel like, is there another Shota in Major League Baseball? Just like when people talk about VSiN and somebody talks about me, nobody's saying Stormy Buonantony. They're saying Stormy, and I think that's okay.
Okay, you're very popular. We get it.
Oh, by the way, I was looking through NHL stuff yesterday, and I saw Jonathan with a J-O-H-N, and I was like,
it's
this
ridiculous.
is what Jonathan was talking about. It does look strange. Go on, Adam. What do you think about the Cubs today?
And my name.
I like your name.
Okay, thank you.
I like the fact that JVT just flows really, really perfectly.
Yeah. Well, the late, great Dave Koken, the first one to call me JVT. What's your billing, kid? And I was like, I don't know. What does that mean? He's like, what do they call you? I'm like, I don't know.
My husband calls him Von Tobes, and I don't think you like that.
I don't mind that one. That's unique. I mean, as long as it's not like Johnny. John Murray over at the Westgate calls me Johnny Boy, which is the only person who really calls me that, but we're both Johns. He spells his name incorrectly. John Vaughn was the name in high school that I went by, so like a lot of the high school friends still call me that, but like, Von Tobes is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, you
John
were talking
Boy?
about best. I don't really like that one.
Shota Imanaga.
Essentially, prove Stormy's point correct here, because she was arguing with me for no reason, and I felt uncomfortable about it.
Whoa, whoa, there, Turbo.
I'm going to have to sit between you guys when I come in here to do my spots if this relationship continues to blossom the way that it is. I can't blame you for the Heaney thing, right? I mean, he pitched very well against JVT's Angels last time out. Bit of a revenge game, I guess we'll call it for him. But look, the thing that worries me here, and I agree with what you said, Stormy, the Pirates are just inept offensively, to put it nicely. But Shota Imanaga's got some worrisome things going on here. I mean, the walk rate is up. The strikeout rate is significantly down. 88.2% left on base percentage. That's going to regress to the mean. 196 batting average on balls in play against. That's probably not sustainable either. 3.18 ERA, 4.68 expected ERA, 5.21 FIP. Velocity's down. Spin rates are down. I'm really concerned that Imanaga is pitching through something. Dead arm, injury, I don't know. But with Justin Steele out now for the year for the Cubs, he's going to try to fight through whatever he can. I do not think that he's fully healthy. I also think you're onto something, though, that Heaney is I mean, Heaney is pitching above his true talent level here. There's no question about that. I mean, 31 strikeouts and 31 and a third. Arsenal's a little bit different. He's mixing in the curveball more, mixing in the changeup some more. There's some pretty good developments with him. But, again, now he takes on the best offense in baseball here to this point. So I think this is probably, if I had to look at it, and I did look at it a little bit here this morning, I thought about taking the over in this one. But it is really, really hard to trust anything about that Pirates offense.
Two things. First off, have you considered the curse of the Angels, which is every pitcher is destined to move on and be incredible elsewhere? Looking at Griffin Canning, by the way. You and I have had conversations about Griffin Canning. Yeah. And look at that. He's a Met and all this.
And the thing about Griffin Canning that I don't understand, it was the world's easiest fix for the Angels. Tell him, hey, your fastball sucks. Stop throwing it so much. And that's all that the Mets have done here. And he's been really, really good.
So there's that factor.
Yeah, I wish the Guardians would trade for Reed Detmers.
Yeah, right. The other thing I was going to ask you, because I brought this up to Stormy that I wanted to ask you about, involves the Pirates. So 27th in weighted runs created plus, but top half of the league in barrel rate as a lineup, top 10 in terms of hard hit rate, and 20th in batting average on balls in play as a group. How do you put those things together? Because on the surface they're a bad lineup, but those are some tells that they're getting a little unlucky, is it not?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, you got to keep in mind, part of that is O'Neal Cruz hits the ball violently hard when he hits it. Yeah. 62% hard hit percentage, barrel rate over 20%. This is also a team, I kind of saw this stat sort of floating around. They've been really good when they've played Andrew McCutchen. And they're not playing McCutchen every day. I don't know if they're kind of looking for spots to put him in. He is an older guy, obviously. But McCutchen's up there, 49.2% hard hit rate, 13% barrel rate. I don't really care about the matchup. I would play him every day. But, yeah, I mean, this is a team that from a contact quality standpoint should be doing better than they are. And so we'll see if that kind of plays out as we go throughout the course of the season. I will say, kind of low-key, PNC Park is not a good hitter's park. You go in at ground level, and it's sunk down in a little bit, so there's not a whole lot of wind impact. It's been chilly in most of the Rust Belt cities so far and all of that. So maybe the offense does tick up as we go throughout the course of the season, but I want to mention this, just generally speaking here. The league-wide slugging percentage right now, lowest it's been since 2014, second lowest since 1992. I don't know if the ball is different. I don't know if it's just the way that pitchers are attacking guys, but we are not getting a lot of slugging percentage so far this season. Not a lot of power, not a lot of extra base hits. Batting average is really, really low. Offense being down is a league-wide epidemic, but you do have some of these outlier types of teams that are absolutely hurting the numbers, like the Pirates. So I'm curious to see what happens as we go throughout the course of the season here. But that's something that I definitely picked up on early on in the year, that offense is down in terms of slugging percentage quite significantly this year compared to recent seasons.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to continue to monitor. I am going to continue to fade the Rockies today. Something Jeff Schwartz and I talked about last week and have been kind of riding this wave for a while now is the opponent team total over or run line on whatever team is facing the Rockies. And I did find the over 5.5 on the Braves at -145. So it is hefty, but for a Rockies team that's on trajectory to have 24 wins this year, has dropped 7 in a row. The team total continues to cash against them. I'm going that way. And I also think throwing the Braves money line in a parlay with one of these big favorites in the NHL tonight. If you want to do it with the Leafs, +135. You could also do the Canes if you want to put all three together, around +225, +230. And then I'm on the Clippers money line today, too. There are still a lot of 1.5s out there on LA, so you can find a cheaper money line than some other places. Like Circa right now, for example, is -2 and -130 on the money line, but I bet -125 at BetMGM.
Go Clippers.
Okay.
That's all I got. I don't want to be positive about that team. They disappoint me too much.
I guess I'll throw out another MLB play here in the interest of supporting our friends at GBank. Giants and Padres. So
yes, I was going to ask you about this.
This is a
best game of the night.
Yeah, best game of the night. Pretty low variance game here. Also, you got a total of 6.5 in this one, so runs are likely to be at a premium, which happens all the time at Petco Park, but. Man, do I love what Nick Pavetta's done here so far for San Diego. They got him away from Boston. They got him away from Fenway Park, got him away from the American League East, and he's just been spectacular here so far. And, in his 3 starts here at Petco Park, 1 run on 8 hits, 20-2 strikeout to walk ratio. Padres at an underdog price here. I had to take it. They got the best bullpen in baseball from an ERA standpoint. Everybody in that bullpen throws hard. The Giants have a really good bullpen, too. But, Logan Webb is a guy that... I like him a lot for a variety of different reasons, but I don't think the strikeout rate is sustainable that he's shown here so far this season. Padres are the top team in baseball in terms of not striking out. They're going to put more balls in play, I think, in this game than the Giants will. Again, in a game where base runners will be at a premium, runs will be at a premium, I just think the Padres as an underdog, they're a bet I had to make today.
Especially at home, 12-4 out there in Petco Park. Plus 105 the price rate. The now run total sitting 6.5. Best bets brought to you by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And remember, they are upping the ante for new GBank Visa Signature Card customers. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases your first 90 days from account opening get a $250 bonus. If you want more information, go apply at vsin.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. And I am going to the Golden Knights game today, and so hopefully they get the win. I didn't bet it, but I'm going to approach some shots on goal props. I like the first period shots on goal. I feel like that's always fun, especially when you're at the place trying to watch it.
While you're watching the NBA playoffs on your phone?
That's right.
I can scoreboard watch.
I'll be at the bar
I am excited. I am excited about tonight's game. That's a wrap for us. Prop points after this.